Welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine. Today we got with us the regular standard host, of course, from Henry Hasib, Robert Battles. Have Mr. Finklea, who's a longtime educator in the great public school system, and myself, James Gordon. We're going to talk about our public school system and versus charter schools, as it seems like the nation is moving toward a climate of charter schools. So, Mr. Finklea, I'm going to ask you to bring us in with a brief prayer, make it universal for all our Muslim and Jewish and Christian brothers and sisters, and make it brief for us, please. So bring us in with a morning prayer, and we're going to open the program. Are you ready, sir? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, gracious Father, we come with open hearts, thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Father God, we ask that you just give us the strength and the knowledge and the know-how to accept all races, all religions, in the best interest of education and the best interest of everybody. We do this in the name of Jesus. Let's all say amen.
Amen. Okay, we're going to pause for a quick break here. Then we'll come back and jump right into the subject matter. Mr. Buckley, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dr. Gordon. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you treating with the Alabama Injury and Pain Clinic. What was your favorite thing?
Well, first of all, no out-of-pocket expense, and my back has gotten great.
This is great. You know, a lot of our patients worry about who's going to pay their bill. So it's good to know that the insurance company will pay after your case is settled. No out-of-pocket expenses. Call 476-PAIN. The choice is yours.
H&H Financial Services in Mobile has over 20 years experience in accounting, bookkeeping, appraisals, real estate, and year-round tax preparations. Give them a call today at 251-438-1620 or visit them at 1560 St. Stephen's Road in Mobile. Let your money grow in our care at H&H Financial Services.
Brother Hasib, and I guess we got all these educators here on the set today, so it looks like me and you may be doing a lot of listening and trying to get educated.
Well, you think that's possible, though?
Not so much
request,
for me.
or is that
not so much for me. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. Mr. Finklea, since you're the guest, what do you think about the charter school system?
One thing I hate about the charter school system is that they have money taken out of public schools, put it in the charter schools. So the students in the public schools are not benefiting from all the monies that are coming down from the state. And I hate to see that situation take place, because a lot of additional things could take place as a result of that in the public schools, where you put in another school within a school, the way I see it.
Let me briefly, I guess, tell the viewers what a charter school is a quasi-private school. Instead of a private school being run by private dollars, they take some of the monies, they attach a dollar amount to each student that's in the public school system, and when that student changes from the public school system to this charter school, that money follows the student. It's a remake of the voucher program that they tried to push through many years ago. And I was very against these charter schools when it came in the legislature when I was there a few decades ago, I guess, Brother Hasib. But one of the frustrations I have right now, Brother Finklea, is that I agree with you, it's crazy to build another interstate system when you already got one. You already got I-65, why you want to build another interstate system right beside it? With the same money, mind you. So both are going to suffer. Neither one's going to have all the money it needs to survive, so one's going to suffer, if not both suffering, because you got two half systems instead of the one whole system. My frustration is, and I expressed this to the leaders of the AEA when they were in the driver's seat, is that at some point when you see the public school system going off the rails, you can't, I think it's everybody's job to bring it back on track. When I say that when we graduate kids that can't read or write because of No Child Left Behind, or because of whatever reason, when we have discipline problems and we say, well, we just send the kids there anyway and put them in this classroom so that the teacher can't really teach the lesson, at what point does the public school system put down their foot and say, enough is enough, we're going to make an about face here, we're going to make a right face here, we're going to go a different direction than the direction we're going in. The direction we're going in, if we're not putting out a good product, if you're a teacher and you're retired, an educator who's retired, if I'm an educator and I'm putting out a good product, then I should get raises, I should be retired, I should have decent insurance rates and what have you. But if I'm putting out a product that's not as good as it was in the 80s and the 90s, if this child, when they graduate in the 80s and 90s, they go on to college and take regular courses. But today, many kids are graduating from the Daphne high schools and the public high schools in Baldwin County and Mobile County. Got to take a couple of remedial courses. So we're not quite getting the math level of math or the level of English we need to go on to the college English 101. So I got to take a 0 class. Now this student pays a full tuition amount for this 060 class or 080 class to learn remedial math or remedial English to get them up to the level where they said they should be to start off college. So whose fault is that, and how do we change it? That's the problem. We can't keep going down this road and not putting out this product, being a student who's ready for the next step in life.
Well, in my opinion, here, this is not an educator situation here at the charter school. This is a political situation. The legislators are the one who proved this situation. The people, the public school people in the public schools didn't do this. They didn't put this in. This came from another situation. So in my opinion, if the people would step up to their legislators and let them know that this is not what we want, that we sent you up there to do another job and you're doing something that's totally against the best interests of the school system of the public, then we need to make a change.
Brother Finklea, I get what you're saying there, and Brother Ballard, you're Commissioner of the School Board, Mobile County. We understand that the law, see, what happens is, in 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the same thing comes up. And we're saying, the legislator's saying, you know, well, the public census is to stick with the public school system. Now this talk comes up, and the public census is, I got my child going over here to XYZ elementary school, XYZ middle school, XYZ high school. It's not passing school. So now I take my child and put them over here. Well, due to the fights in the hallways, due to the teacher not having a math teacher, due to whatever the circumstance is, my child is not in an area that's conducive to learning. So now my child's bouncing from school to school. They're still not getting the education they need. And now the public is not with the public education system. So it's not necessarily, I mean, the politicians is a servant of the people. If the people say stick with public school, then they stick with public school. If the people say move out of public school, then they tend to move away from the public school system. It's the school system. The legislators cannot dictate how the school system is ran.
No, they can't, Dr. Gar. But the problem stems from, Mr. Finklea alluded to that earlier. The charter schools are a product of the legislature. But as a school board commissioner, what my perception of why we're in a dire strait right now is because, just take, in the last report, we had 13 failing schools that were predominantly in the African American community. My perception as a school board commissioner is that when you got strong leadership, you got better schools. Just take, I have some schools in my district who got dynamic principals. I don't have the same problem I have at other schools. So the quality of the leadership, and then the school board itself with the superintendent and with the other commissioners who I serve with, work on one accord in time to provide the same quality. Let's take, for example, the problem that we're having with the merger at Williamson High School. Those students are being merged, but they're putting all failing students together. So Mr. Finklea is a longtime educator. He's seen how it worked before. He's seen that when you got great administrators, you get great products for your students.
Okay, I witnessed Dorothy Cooley at Blount High School.
That's
Mr.
right.
Woods, I believe, at Blount.
That's
He
right.
went to Mobile County training, I believe.
That's right, Mobile
Now
County.
he's back. Now he's at Blount, I think now. But it was Dorothy was at Blount, and Mr. Woods was at Mobile County training, and it was doing great. I witnessed the Ella Grant transformation when they took retired teachers and put them in there and tutored them during the school day, if you would. They didn't have to after school or before school.
Mm-hmm.
They found time during the day to tutor the children, and the scores went up. So these programs, the problem is, okay, a place like Ella Grant, say, may, and I'm not picking on Ella Grant, but it's just that come to mind. Say they went below AYP, annual progress, that 1 year. They bring in tutors who are retired teachers, the scores go up, then they take away the teachers. They take away the retired teachers, they take away the program. This is a temporary program. Why do you make it a temporary program if it's working? That's what I'm saying. That this system, this fix, needs to be a permanent fix. If it's a permanent fix to bring in retired teachers to tutor our kids, then let's make it a permanent fixture. Let's not do this temporarily, because if you pull it away, the same thing that happened to the school to get them in there in the first place is going to happen again. If you got Mr. Woods doing a good job at Blount, or Dorothy Cooley doing a good job at Blount, or somebody's doing a good job at this school over here, you move them around, or you allow them to move, and now we got a weak person like myself going there. I don't have the same level of control, the same level of compassion. When you take these teachers, And Mr. Finklea, you guys, you teachers, I love my public school teachers. I love my AEAs, my education system. But we get a situation. I go down to this school in Dolphin Valley Parkway with Brother Battles, and this school don't have a math teacher for a whole year because the math teacher put in for a transfer over to this school. It's got 4 slots and 3 are filled, 1 is empty. But we, either the union or the school system, allowed this teacher to transfer out to the school with 1 hole, whereas if they leave this school, it has 0. So we can't allow we got to somewhere fix the problem. We can't keep doing the same thing and getting not the results we want and not changing something permanently. That's the problem. So the legislators, it can start with the legislature. They can legislate. Charter schools is nothing but a Republican remake of the voucher program, which is always there to kill the public school system. But the public school system, which is mostly Democrat and mostly our public for our youth, is allowing it to be killed by not putting in systems to be successful. If you put in temporary situations and temporary solutions, you're not gonna get a permanent fix.
Let me say this to you from my personal
I'll tell you what,
experience.
before you go to that point, because that's a very important point and I know you're about to make, let's take a commercial break right here, and then we're going to be right back to get into this. We'll be right back after these brief commercials.
Anyone can fall victim to moving fraud. Know your rights and responsibilities.
We had really signed off on a price, and that was about it.
Without a signed written estimate, movers may try to charge more
They were charging us now $2,000 instead of the agreed upon $900.
and may hold your items hostage until you pay.
Not only had they roughly handled or mishandled, it seemed like they had purposely destroyed things.
Visit protectyourmove.gov to download a free moving fraud prevention guide. Search for registered movers and view their complaint histories. Move with confidence.
Mr. Buckley, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dr. Gordon. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. I appreciate. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you treating with the Alabama Injury and Pain Clinic. What was your favorite thing?
Well, first of all, no out-of-pocket expense, and my back has gotten great.
This is great. You know, a lot of our patients worry about who's going to pay their bill. So it's good to know that the insurance company will pay after your case is settled. No out-of-pocket expenses. Call 476-PAIN. The choice is yours.
H&H Financial Services in Mobile has over 20 years experience in accounting, bookkeeping, appraisals, real estate, and year-round tax preparations. Give them a call today at 251-438-1620 or visit them at 1560 St. Stephen's Road in Mobile. Let your money grow in our care at H&H Financial Services.
All right, welcome back to Rise and Shine. Well, we're talking about this most important subject, education. You were making a statement before we went to commercial. We want to bring it back to you.
I was about to say that in the public school system, we have some great teachers. We have some great leaders.
Amen.
However, from my personal experience, I used to have foster kids in my house. I had some kids in there from Orange Grove projects. And Orange Grove, those kids weren't studying. They would come home. They didn't know anything about studying. But they were very bright kids. And when I took those kids and put them on a track and a path for studying, and as a result of that, one of them made a 27 on the ACT.
Wow.
The other made 23, I think it was. And both of them were exceptionally smart kids. But now you can take these kids, put administrators or teachers in there, if you don't get that support from their home. See, some kids leave school in the afternoon and they don't pick up another book or nothing until they get back the next day. If you have a structured situation in the home to give that teacher some support and that school some support, you'll turn out a better product. Now these two boys were excellent. They turned out real good products of the public school system. I'm a product of the public school system.
As am I.
And I work real hard.
As am I.
Yes, we're all. I think I want to kick it to Brother Battle since he's our commissioner to expound on that a little bit and talk some other things. But I wanted to make out one important point. I think one of the changes we can make, as you just said, Brother Finklea, about having that structure at home, is to disrupt the parent's life. If you're going to be a parent, be a parent. So what you got to do is you just can't use empty words. You just can't say to the parents, do a better job parenting. We need to lobby the legislators, lobby the governor's office to make our in-school parent suspension like we would have a Family Emergency Leave Act. A person can take leave without being fired, according to the federal government, for a family member who's sick or have a major crisis. And if we can make that happen for emergency situations like a death or a serious illness or an injury, we surely can make it happen for our most precious asset, our youth that are coming up to be our future leaders and the future adults of tomorrow. So I think that's the change I'm talking about. If we had that change, that simple little change, where if Finklea has these kids in his home and they're acting out, instead of going in front of Judge Neighbor in the truancy court, they go in front of the truancy court, they go wherever they go, but then what he does, instead of putting the kid in kiddie jail, you sentence that parent to 3 days in school with the child, and you increase it from there. And that parent can't be suspended, but that parent loses money. And that parent sit in that classroom and go to class every day, all day with that child, just like the child does, so they can see how their child is acting, and they can know it's going to disrupt that adult's life so much so that they're going to make little Johnny decide to learn. Say, little Johnny, I can't do this and pay for these bills in the house. You want to get your stuff together, and the teacher, and this is where the retired teachers and everybody say, look, little Johnny spends an hour in school reading a book. He needs to spend 1 or 2 hours or 4 hours out of school reading a book. This is where you can plant those seeds, because as you say, Brother Finklea, a lot of these kids and a lot of these adults, many who are kids, never been taught this themselves. So you can't possibly know unless you can, unless you've been taught and teach it, and you can't just say empty words. We got to have something with teeth to make the parent get involved instead of trying to fill our jails up either as kids or as adults when these kids get pushed out of school as premature adults when they drop out of school and end up being members in society where they can't function properly. We're going to end up filling our jails later and spending money on them later. Let's spend money now and getting these parents in these schoolrooms, in these classrooms with these kids so that we can have order. We can have a more productive member of society. Something's got to be changed to break the mold that is forming that we see going in the direction we want to go into. So, Brother Ballas, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me back it back here just one
Yes.
second. One superintendent told one principal that he was in a low performance school.
Yes, sir.
And so he told that principal, he said, well, we done all we can do here. He has to go back in the home. He said, I tell you what you do. You send me to Mary Montgomery or send me down to Mobile County High or send me to Davidson or Murphy. He said, I have a high performance school. But if you won't be that person, it'll be from the people that are going in there and their children are going in there. And they putting pressure on that kid. You get in here and get off that phone at night and get with your lesson.
But you know, when you look at the whole atmosphere, my perception as far as education, in the Brown versus the Board of Education, where they were talking about the separate but equal was inherently unequal. But that's what we're dealing with today. The schools on the inner city schools are inherently unequal and not compatible with the education institutions like he meant at Mary Montgomery and at these other schools here. Even in Mobile County, we've always had a problem with, in the majority white schools, they're white principals. They're African American principals. So the diversity is not really conducive for bringing an atmosphere so that people, an integrated education, and okay, just take for example, at some of my schools, like at Mayenne, for 3 years, the students who are in the 9th and 10th grade now at Wilson High School had no math teachers in the 7th, 8th, and the 9th grade, so ain't no way they're gonna make it. So when you put all the failing schools together, all you do is, I know all of us have heard about how crabs act like in a bucket. The only reason why crabs act like they're a bucket because they're out their natural habitat. If we take the education arena and make it conducive, because I think in our old school, we came from a segregated system where we had nothing.
But think about that. See, listen, it's what you just said. Pardon me for cutting you off, Brother Ballas, but like you just said, Blount High School, the old Blount High School was built not to the standards of the Viger High School, because it was built for black students versus the Viger built for the white students, if you will. So we've always had situations where things were uneven, but we always put out a superior product. Brother Finklea came to the public school system. Superior product. He knows, he got his education, went on and got a little teaching and credentials in his college and made things happen because we worked harder to make it happen. So just because and I'll submit to you, most of the professional ball players comes out of school with the least amount of amenities. You look at the Hoovers and the Spain Parks, they ain't putting out anything. Those kids are fat and lazy because they have everything. You got 2 gyms, 5 swimming pools, 2 football. You got a little mini college there, and the kids are just fat and lazy. They don't put out any. No, you don't see any of those kids going off to the pro. But when you get a school like Williamson that didn't have a field house, or Blunt didn't have a field house, kids got to run twice as far to the football field to get dressed out and whatnot. These kids are constantly exercising and building up, and they want it more. So therefore you put out a superior product. These kids are superstars when it comes to sports and whatnot, because they have to work harder. So many times when you have less, it makes you work harder because you want it. But the biggest fundamental thing missing that I see, that I hear from educators, and I hear from board commissioners, and I hear from teachers and principals and whatnot, is that the disconnect between the family as far as giving a damn to make sure that the students get their lesson and whatnot, or they go to school, they send them to school, but it ends there. But we got to change that mold. That's the mold that got to be changed.
And I agree with you. Let me give you an example. My granddaughter goes to Williams. The first quarter, she had a problem. In almost the beginning, I started looking at her grades. I told my son I wanted to request of him that he get a weekly report. That way we could keep up with what she's having deficient problem. Well, in the middle of the quarter, I found out that she was failing. So I hired a tutor for her. When she had the tutor on the subsequent test and then the end of the quarter test, she made 85. So that shows you that parental involvement makes a significant impact on it.
Now,
I'm not doubting that, Dr. Gardner.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, though, you can have parental involvement, but okay, at Williamson High School, you got the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade where you got honor and AP courses. The 10th, 11th, and 12th. But the 9th and the 10th, you have no honor courses. So you're not building, you got to build it up from the bottom up. It just can't start from the top where they come in and be successful.
I would say that for our listening audience, you did say that if a parent has concern about their child, they can ask for a weekly report.
They ask for a week. They can have a weekly report from the teacher, monitor themselves, so that they can find out what the child is doing. What my son is doing now, he getting and I asked last night, my granddaughter called me about some money to buy some donuts for the basketball team. I told my son, I said, ask her how she doing on her grade. If her grade is commensurate with what she want to play on the basketball team, then she can stay on the basketball team. But it's only that attention that you give them that Mr. Finklea alluded to earlier. Once you as a parent show your interest to the child going to perform better.
Let me piggyback on what you just said.
Yes, sir.
Back here about 5 or 6 years, 7 years ago, the school board ran an ad of math tutoring at BC Rain and ran the buses in all those different areas to pick up kids. Out of the number of kids who came down there, they came from, not the number, but from the schools. They came from St. Paul's, St. Pius, came from UMS, and came from places that kids needed it. But from the public school system, we didn't have any kids down there. They came from all private schools to get tutoring. Those parents knew that the bus was running and their kids had a deficiency in mathematics. All that schools, that place should have been full on that. They weren't there. They didn't have the initiative to get up and tell them, get up Saturday morning, catch this bus and go and get the tutoring. So it starts right there at home.
So there's a disconnect between the parents even knowing what to do. Like what you just said, Brother Bounce, I didn't know that you can ask for a weekly progress report.
Yeah, you can ask for it.
So we need to let the public know that. But also,
right.
If a parent don't know, see, if you weren't the grandchild parent of this child, with your son knowing what to do, you decide, you knew to hire the tutor. You knew you're the college grad from way back when. You're the college grad from way back when. But some of our younger generation who don't have that knowledge for whatever reason, that's where we got to plant that seed and say you can ask for this weekly report, or this child needs to do so much reading at home for so much reading in school. I mean, who's planting those seeds? That's why I'm saying if it changes, I think we got many problems, brother. I see. Right, I would agree that we got many problems. Many of our schools in our communities are deficient. They're not up to par compared to some. And I even mentioned that about many years ago. I said, why is it that our interstate system looks good from the I-10 to the top of the state, but yet our school system, I got schools that's built in 1800s and a school built in the late 20 teens that in the same county. Because of tax date, we got this thing based on tax base. I understand why they do it, but it doesn't make it right. We need to fix that. We need to fix many things, but I think the main thing we need to fix right now, the problem is the elephant in the room is what are we doing to make these kids who enter the schools now graduate and be able to perform at the level that they need to be at. Like you said, when they get to the high schools, when they get out of the high schools. Brother Hasib, what were you saying? You're saying you got a few minutes.
Well, just to close it out now, the word I would say to the parents is that the most important thing that you are entrusted with is not a diamond ring or a Mercedes or a car or what have you, is your child. And we need to take interest in our children like they are valuable to us. The things I would say to the teacher is that the teacher has to know if the teacher hasn't taught, then the student doesn't learn. And if the student didn't learn, then the teacher hasn't taught that student. So there's a responsibility that's mutual there. The parent has to take the parent responsibility, and the teacher has to take the teacher responsibility, and we have to work together for the good of the child. So I don't know, we got a few more minutes left here.
Y'all have any closing thoughts, Brother Battles?
But the only closing thought that I have is education is just too important to be left to educators alone. It takes a cooperative effort between the parent, the student, the teacher, and the child in order to make education work. But at the same time, though, my understanding is that if the educational facility and the opportunities for the child is equal as they do on the inner city and go on the outer city, then we're gonna make a real. Now you talk about charter schools. Charter schools, you know, I've had some negative attitude about charter school because, like Mr. Finklea said, they take away from public schools. But we are not an authorizer at the school board in Mobile County. So what we're going to be doing is focusing. My whole focus is equal educational opportunity for all the students who comprise the Mobile County.
Let me say one quick thing. Mr. Finklea, you got anything you want to say real quick?
I just want to say one last thing here, that a lot of teachers, from my experience in the classroom and as an administrator, I've seen a lot of teachers use different methods of delivery of that information to the kids. They use lecture methods, they use videos and various kinds of things. And they are doing a great job out there.
So with that being said, thanks again for watching us and joining us this week with the Rise and Shine in our public schools versus charter school discussion. And please join us next week for another important topic. Thank you and good morning.